Wednesday. And today, and what it takes to really extend your ServiceNow teams. We've heard this over and over from clients, trying to find ServiceNow staff, trying to retain that ServiceNow staff, and trying to stay ahead of this growing backlog is almost an overwhelming challenge. So today I'm joined by two others from Thirdera. And so let me unpin my camera.
Thirdera, and happy to be here with you, Troy and Eric.
Excellent. And Eric, welcome back.
Troy, good to be back. Thank you very much for having me. Eric Marquis. I work with our clients up here in New England, kind of becoming
ever-growing backlog. And as you do continue to problem compounds, and Eric, I think we've done a very good job of talent attracting talent, being able to bring that in. And at the same time, we can recognize people area desire to grow. Customers don't always have that road. And by focusing in on which of those areas that are needed, it's much easier to work with our customers to set expectations, as well as make sure that we're putting together the right team to provide that service to the customer.
Packaged, right? But at the same time, we can adapt and flex it, based on what the clients need.
Is that, they've got a team that's really good at just taking user stories and implementing them. At the same time, it's those same clients that are saying, I end up with this technology debt. How did I get here? Mm-hmm. One of the things that I've seen in the projects that I have, and as I've talked with different clients that are using our managed service capabilities, is as Thirdera, while we do implement them, and we use ServiceNow to track that, which I think is just kind of cool. I've seen our teams push back some. John, can you talk a little bit more about how, while we do implement those user stories efficiently and effectively, there is some pushback? We want to be that advice and counsel and say, we could do that, but.
Yeah, exactly. I think, my mantra on any of these services is to treat the instance as if it's your own, and really have that mindset coming into doing any work for any customer. We're building long-term relationships here. We don't want to, be the ones causing a problem long-term. And we also want to get things healthier, so it's working better for the customer, and it's easier for us to manage and maintain. And one of the ways that we're able to do that is, the level of experience and length of experience that our resources have, the kind of depth and breadth that they have across the platform, and the amount of services that we're providing for all of our customers across every industry. We're able to quickly learn and adapt, share best practices internally, and get that out to everybody. And at the same time, making sure that our services are provided from a best practice perspective. The value comes from being able to tell customers the things that they don't even know that they should be asking, right? And telling them where they're deviating from best practices. And I'll tell you that the best practices change over time as well. So what was true 5 years ago may not be true today, and you need to keep up with that, and really have a customer service mentality to all of this, rather than a developer mentality.
The pace of change is accelerating for sure.
Maybe more from a tactical standpoint here, but we tend to see clients that we bring them into our run service, and they may have teams that have been enhancing, maintaining, administering the platform, but they're doing it on a broken platform, quite frankly. I think to your point, John, early on, there was a series of decisions made around how they're going to structure their CMDB, whether or not that was really aligned to CSDM, custom considerations or custom things that were built on the platform. And they've continued to kind of build and layer on top of that, right? And I think what we tend to find is that we get into some of these accounts, and we run our proprietary tool, that instance analyzer that we have, which is what I think the first or the second most downloaded app on the ServiceNow App Store. But we tend to find and uncover a lot of issues that clients don't necessarily know are there. I mean, can you elaborate on that a little bit more? I think I'm seeing that across my clients, but you see kind of more depth and breadth than I do.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a number of clients where that has absolutely helped. Being a free tool, it's something that's quick, easy to install, and gets really good results. And the difference from maybe some of the other health scanning tools that are out there is, it doesn't just tell you what may be wrong or what might not align to best practice, but it also tells you what's the impact of that, and how and where is that used throughout there to help prioritize that. And so what we've done is be able to leverage that to not build a backlog, but really build a a get healthy plan on the platform that we can use that data and information to really provide that information to the customer to help prioritize with them, which issues to tackle when, why we're doing them, and what the progress is, because that scan can then be run over and over to actually see the trend of improvement over time.
Right. One of the things I'll do is I'll go back in the comments on YouTube and LinkedIn is add that link to that instance analyzer. And for any of those that are watching this or listening to this, it is available on the ServiceNow store. Just search for Instance Analyzer. If you have any questions or concerns, reach out to me or your local Thirdera account exec. We're glad to help you kind of understand how best to get that installed and running in a non-production environment. Then also glad to sit down and pull in one of our experts to really read through that with you so you understand, what is this tool telling you? How do you help prioritize? Because one of the things that I'll say is I've seen clients do this. We run it and they're like, I got this laundry list of errors. Do I need to fix all of these? And John, maybe you can add into some of that too, because we've seen that as we go through that kind of free read back. Here's what this means. Yes, those are indeed not best practices, but these are the things to address, right?
Yeah, there's definitely a difference between issues and recommendations, right? So issues, kind of high priority things, things that may have security impact or upgradability impact. Those are the things that we would prioritize first. Other things, they may not necessarily follow best practice, but a lot of times there was business justification behind that. And that's part of the conversation of not just what is this, but where is it being used? Why was it done? And we're allowed to kind of mark those items, kind of filter those out. And so the first run, may look very different than the second run, even with no configurations made. It's got that analysis to, say that this is what we really found and what we're going to be tackling, and let's use that baseline going forward.
Right. It takes a lot to dive into that and understand how to prioritize it. I think it's an amazing tool, but I've seen that shock come back, like what? But there are some good recommendations. But once I think clients understand how to read it, there's some great ways to really catch some things early on. I've seen several put that in as just part of their normal process before they're pushing things forward in their promotion sequence to just kind of validate, make sure it was indeed coded well.
Yeah, and I think it provides a good starting point to make sure that we can help to validate the health of their system, right, and then work to remediate that. And many times that tends to be kind of a starting point for things that we're adding to the backlog, grooming and prioritizing, right?
Mm-hmm. It can be broken up to different areas too. So if you wanted to focus in on your internal development team and those developers, you can filter down to that. If you want to look at only a particular application, maybe you're only interested in the scoped HR service delivery application, you can set the filters to really scan and bring back the results on subsets of things as well too. So you can kind of break apart and prioritize that way as well.
Nice.
I find that, when I sit and look at our, operational run services, our managed services here, that the structure of the service really, I think is kind of differentiator from what we're seeing, out in the market today. So I think this touches upon, what you had mentioned earlier, just our ability to be able to source and attract, some of the best talent in the world for that matter. We are a global organization, right? I think because of that, I think, we're able to bring a lot of unique talent, that has specialized skill sets, both on ServiceNow and industry, across all the areas of the platform. And I just maybe like to get your thoughts, John and Troy, about, kind of what do you think in terms of how do you think that makes us a little bit more unique than some of what the other offerings are out in the market?
All right, John, take this one first, or do you want me to go
Yeah,
here?
John, yeah. Why don't we start with you?
Sure. So, sorry, 1 second. So, just thinking through that for a second, we have two different ways that the services can be structured, and one of those is a subscription model that allows you full access to all of our teams. So all what are we up to? 633 or so employees right now. You have access to all of that, but we're still working with you to identify what is your typical month to month, week to week type use going to be, and aligning a team to that while allowing for the flexibility for those cases where, next month we know that we want to be looking at a strategic roadmap for the service portfolio management and APM suites. Not necessarily a skill set that we're using on a week-to-week basis. Let's plan ahead, bring in an expert in that space, bring them in temporarily for a couple of weeks, work with you on that, and then that person can disengage again and go back to your standard backlog development or support type services without needing to change anything in the contracts or go through all of that. So you've got your service that you're doing regularly with the flexibility to access and tap into the full depth and breadth of Thirdera.
Right. I agree, and I'll poke a little bit at that, John.
Yeah.
In some of the past partners that I've worked for, and some of the past partners that I've seen, or other partners in the ecosystem that I've seen, it's kind of like they look back and say, "See my bench? You can pull any of them." Ours is structured a little bit differently. And we have a service delivery manager that is assigned to that client, assigned to really understand their needs and balance it out. And some of that's free. And if there's more there, that's part of the use of the contract for them to really do that planning. But tell us more about that pod structure and why that matters. So it's not just the same where it's like, well, yeah, you can reach into the bench wherever. We're reaching into our bench, we're reaching into the depth. But I think it's uniquely different how that's done. Yeah,
even the standard team that's aligned to you, they're aligned in, as you mentioned, a pod. And so what that means is, you're not just getting one business analyst, one technical consultant, maybe one senior technical consultant, and that service delivery manager. What you're getting is alignment to each of those as roles. With a small number of people behind that. We obviously have more, but we want to get a small group of people for the technical side. Maybe that's up to 6 people that have access to your instance, that know your business, that know your environment, that can work to spread the load of the work across, cover backups, outage or PTO or other outages, things like that, without introducing any of that weight back to the customer to manage that. We're managing that without, needing to restaff somebody every time something changes, because we have those small pods aligned to each of the roles.
Right. I think that's tremendously powerful. Yeah, I think, looking at time, one of the things that I look at with our managed services is really how to get engaged, and I've got my own 2 cents, but like to let you guys kind of chime in as well. When you've seen new clients kind of come to us and maybe they start off with a knowledge of what they had in a managed service in the past, what are some good ways that you've seen clients kind of go, the light bulb turns on, right? The mind blown. Oh, this is different. This is not the managed service that I saw before. What are some of those things that you've seen clients go through and really see that this is not what they expected in a good way?
Yeah. So really starting any discussion around this, looking at the entire platform, what are all of the things that need to be done? And if it was on paper or whiteboard, you could almost start to highlight all of those things. What we've
Right.
done with those different knobs, as you called them, of our support, enhance, and manage offerings, is kind of prepackaged what we think the most common options are for that. So if you're needing administration requests, incident support, somebody doing clone downs of the instance, things like that, that aligns to something like support. If what you're needing is kind of that CSI enhancement for applications that you've already deployed, that's enhanced. If you're needing somebody to take over all of that's manage. And just breaking it down like that, and really taking a zoom out to see the macro level of everything that it takes, often turns a light bulb off or light bulb on in our customer's head, right? To think about the big picture and think about where is it that they really need help, so that we can focus in and provide service in the right way.
From my perspective, Troy, I think really it's been advisory and guidance, that we're able to provide out to our clients, especially the clients that already have ServiceNow teams. And I think that's, we tend to get, really good feedback from our clients in terms of, we never got this before. Typically, we've always got a staff log model. We're just kind of throwing people at it. Thirdera at least, has skin in the game, will help to advise on best practices, guide us along the way, help us to prioritize, the work that needs to be done, so that we're focused on the right things. And I think, if I had to pick anything in terms of how we're different from some of the other services, I'd say that's right at the top.
Agreed. Cool. Right. And I think to kind of lay down a challenge, or at least some creative thinking, or if you're watching this, you're looking at how to really get out from underneath this growing backlog, or let's say you've got open recs for several people in ServiceNow and you're looking for some way to backfill it. We've seen clients leverage this run to be able to backfill one or many roles where we can step in and help. And sometimes that's a new way for you to fulfill that capability. Sometimes it's to help in that transition. But what I'll say is if you can look at your ServiceNow instance and you can come up with, kind of 3 months backlog without much thinking. And most clients I talk to, that's really easy. It's like, yeah, I can find 3 months of work I just wish I could get to. Reach out to one of us. We're easy to find online, and just ask, I've got 3 months. What can you do for me? With our managed service, I think we've got a great way for you to try it out. 3 months backlog, and let's get you out from underneath that and give you a chance to experience the Thirdera effect. Closing shots, John or Eric?
Yeah, so thanks, Troy. This has been fun. Thanks for inviting me on here. I hope to be back in the future. But as you said, if there is any challenge that you're having today, bringing in talent, managing and maintaining that backlog, really anything, managing the platform, even if you don't know whether you need a managed service or professional services or anything, reach out to us. We're happy to have that conversation and guide you down the right path to figure out, how we get the outcomes that you're looking for.
Echo that, John. I think that's a good way to end our conversation today. Troy, I appreciate you having me on and being able to talk about this a little bit, and maybe hopefully help to educate some of the folks that are listening today. So appreciate the time being on Now with Troy.
I appreciate it. It's, part of it is as I do this as part of Thirdera is really, there's so many things happening in the business world. They're really transforming the way we think about business and where what that transformation looks like. We're here to help with that. The other part is as we kind of talked about a little bit here today, is ServiceNow continues to grow at an increasing pace of change. Trying to stay ahead of that is tough. One of the things that the three of us have enjoyed being part of Thirdera is we do have depth across that platform. And for us, it's been fun to reach back. I've had to change my language because I used to say, if meet anyone that says they know all of ServiceNow, run the other way. Although I think Chuck Tomasi probably knows all of it. But for the most part, that has been the case, right? But the depth we bring in with our managed services that you have access to, John, that you can provide to our clients, they get to reach into that broad expertise and see that kind of advice and counsel. If you change this, we really need to think about how you're using this over here, right? Cool. Any other last parts before we close it down for the day?
No, appreciate the time today, Troy.
Good enough.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
gentlemen. Thanks, everyone. And let me wait for a little bit of lag, and then we will turn these off.